You have both talked about the negative effects of casual sex culture and how sex is for bonding in pairs. In light of this, how should people be dating, and what place does sex have in an individual's life prior to marriage or the equivalent? What advice could you give to younger people as the age for marriage rises in the Western world?
Well, first thing to say is there's nothing to recommend casual sex. You should dress up a bit.
And then dress down.
I guess that's sort of,
Yeah.
almost required.
So sort of an oscillating level of dress is what you recommend.
You start out dressed a bit more formally than all the casual folks, I guess. But all right.
So neither of us has ever said, and I at least have not thought, that the idea of sex outside of a formal institution of marriage, or even
Coyotes?
I think we got coyotes outside our window. Yeah.
All right.
Right. Hold on. Hey, Zach. Yeah, why don't you go have Toby make sure that all the cats are inside and lock them down, okay? Yep. All right. That's close, and it's the middle of the day, so. You think it's coyotes?
I'm not 100% certain. It could be dogs, but I think it's coyotes.
But we definitely have coyotes here.
Yep.
Okay. What were we talking about?
Casual sex.
Casual sex
yes.
and marriage. And maybe that's just coyotes having sex. I don't know. Could be.
Hard to say.
I don't know what they sound like when they have sex. Sex. What we have spoken against is extremely casual sex, and the idea that men at their sort of second worst, so not rape, but seeking the sort of the sew and go strategy, which is what one of your students once called it, right? Is not particularly interesting and certainly not honorable, and women aspiring to do the same thing is neither interesting nor honorable either.
No, it's also bad for society.
It's bad for society, and it's also just not. It's just the physical. It's just the physical stuff, and so. In engaging in sex with someone with whom you don't imagine that you will be spending your life with can be an absolutely wonderful way to explore your body and your sexuality. But that is different from saying you need to save yourself for marriage, or that go into a bar because you want to pick someone up because you're horny and that you'll never see them again 12 hours later. Both of those extremes can be recognized as extremes without, and leave a lot in the middle to be discussed.
Yeah. And I mean, I also just think somehow, I don't know why we're always playing defense on this question. The ethos of the moment is so backwards that it is as if, this sort of, it's another case where the term that's been deployed, sex positivity, is a misnomer. And the fact is, sex positivity takes one view of sex and what its value is and how to get there. But I would just suggest, just as a proof of concept, ask yourself this question. When has sexual liberty been greater? I think the answer is never, at all sorts of levels. The stigma is gone from pornography and masturbation. We have apps to facilitate you meeting people that you'll never see again and going home with them. All sorts of stuff is being normalized. Sex work. How satisfied do people seem? I think they seem really unsatisfied. I think they are sexually frustrated, and that the very thing that they thought was going to address it has done the very opposite. It has taken the magic out of this landscape and replaced it with it's junk sex, right?
It's junk sex, yeah. No, it's and this is a point that we make in our book that we were writing, and it was a point that was really well made with a lot of backup from data from various sorts. Actually, in a 2019 or 18, I can't remember which, Atlantic article that was called, I think, "The Sex Recession," which adds to what you just said, that actually many young people are actually having a lot less sex. Right, that there's obviously a rise in casual sex and one night stands and all of this, but that there's actually a lot, people seem to be replacing what used to be real human, amazing, important tactile content with screens and with sexting, as if there was any way for that to do even a 20th the same thing in terms of connecting you to another human being.
Yeah. And, people are being synchronized, that the competition in the porn industry to get people's attention has resulted in this move in the direction of extreme stuff, in many cases, insane stuff.
Yeah. Dangerous things that, for the most part, women don't want to have anything to do with at all.
Epidemiologically ill-advised things. So anyway, it's obviously not working. It's obviously compromised things that do work. And I think the problem is that the term casual sex itself, and the fact that you feel the need to separate an objection to casual sex from the suggestion that sex needs to wait for marriage.
Mm-hmm.
What it is divorcing sex from meaningful relationships is a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
right? The configurations, as we pointed out with the point about Malagasy SIPAs, these are people who are bonded and may produce children but aren't married because marriage is difficult to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
So there's lots of room for stuff. But I would say, as I've said about hallucinogenic drugs, the thing is, it makes sense to seek satisfaction. Sexual satisfaction is awesome, but that is not the same thing as treating it casually, right? The fact that it's very pleasurable does not mean, in fact, the route to it being pleasurable involves one taking it seriously, right? This is the whole message of tantric sex, is that taking it very seriously is a way of elevating pleasure. And so the junkification of everything, of friendship, of sex, of the whole landscape, is not serving anybody. So in terms of advice,
Mm-hmm.
My advice would be figure out who also aspires to something better and opt out of the consensus together. That's what I would suggest.